What's up, everybody? Welcome to BioS 3 Raw TV. Boy, do we have some shit to talk about tonight. So, this week in bodybuilding's been pretty interesting. You know, we had the loss of Matt Porter, which I think rocked the whole bodybuilding world, to be totally honest with you. Like, all of us respected Matt, all of us liked Matt, but none of us knew health-wise the stuff that he was going through, really. I mean, he kind of touched on certain things, but until he passed away and his wife really opened up, we didn't really know. But another thing that just happened this weekend, on a more positive note, was Shawn Rhoden did a guest posing. Now, the Atlantic States was this weekend. Bev Francis put it on like she always does, and Steve Weinberger. And Shawn Rhoden guest posed. And he looked much better this week than he did at the Pittsburgh a couple weeks ago. So people are like, oh, you know, he looked much better. Not that he redeemed himself, not that he looked awesome, but the people are starting to say, well, if he changed that much in that little amount of time, you know, what's he going to do by the Olympia? So I'm not going to say people have forgotten about Shawn and what he did at Pittsburgh and showed up out of shape. But I think people now have kind of gotten past it a little bit. And now they're looking at like, well, now the story's kind of opening up to, well, Shawn looked that bad and everybody had written him off. They're like, oh, he fucking sucks. He's a one Mr. Olympia and done. Well, in like, you know, a couple weeks' time, his body changed so drastically that, I mean, he really did. He's still, of course, not lean, but you saw some muscle come back, some leanness come back very quickly. And people went, whoa, that's kind of a big change for a short amount of time. And he's got 15 weeks left. That was like a couple of weeks. Like, what the hell's going on? His diet actually started last week. So it's basically only been a week that he's been in training for his Olympia, I was going to say debut, but his Olympia defense. And he's already changing that fast. So people are already starting to talk. Like, oh man, what's going to happen? And now, a couple days ago, I heard some rumblings, right? And we still don't really know what's going on. We heard that Phil Heath, due to a post that his wife had actually made on Instagram, said, hey, you know, the diet starts now or something like that. And now people are like, wait a minute, the diet. Wait a minute. So is he doing the Olympia or is he not? Phil's being very low-keyed about it. He's not talking about it. But one thing's for sure, would Phil be starting a diet at the same time that the Olympia diet start for everyone if he wasn't going to do the Olympia? Like, it just doesn't make sense. So now the speculation is, well, Phil's going to show up. Phil's going to be there. Shit. Now, we all know Phil, when he's at 100% his best, right? Right now, with the crop of individuals that are out there, hasn't been beaten 7 times in a row. When he came in with the abdomen distension, which he talked about in depth, that was actually, you know, another hernia tear, that the surgery kind of came undone. So let's say Phil's back at 100%. The crop of people right now out there haven't beaten him before at 100%. Can they beat him 100% now? I mean, my personal opinion is Phil at 100% against everybody that's out there wins. That's just how it is. Phil is literally that dominant as Mr. Olympia in this crowd of guys that I feel like at 100% he's going to take the title. Now, one person that I think people are, I don't want to say not giving him enough credit, but they're not really taking him that serious as a threat, is Brandon Curry. Now, I spoke to Brandon about 2 weeks ago, and I feel that Brandon, if he nails everything the way he's improving and comes in 100% in shape, and Shawn Rhoden is off, and Phil Heath is off, and we don't even have Rami there, but Dexter Jackson's off. We've seen him come in off a couple times in the recent past. Now you have Brandon, who seems to be getting better and better and is not sliding back down at all yet. Could Brandon be the one that takes it? Absolutely, he could be. Well, Jared, how can you say that? Anybody can be beaten. We've seen Ronnie Coleman get beaten. We've seen Phil Heath get beaten. The guys that we didn't see get beaten, like Lee Haney and you know, and Dorian, those guys, they retired before they were going to get beaten. So everybody can be beaten if they're not at their best. So you have maybe a Phil Heath that's maybe like 90%. You have Shawn Rhoden, let's say he comes in 90%. Let's say you got Dexter Jackson comes in 90%. And then you have, you know, of course, Brandon Curry that comes in 100%. He very well could take it. Now people are like, Jerry, his legs. Listen, you know, Big Rami had much bigger legs than Phil. You don't need to have the biggest legs on the fucking stage to be Mr. Olympia. You have to have a balanced physique. And without a doubt, Brandon's very wide, he's very thick, but I think he has a very balanced, very aesthetic physique. Doesn't have the biggest legs, but he comes in hard as hell, and he's winning pro shows. So when you're winning pro shows like that, that means that you are one of those top guys to be battling for the title at the Olympia when you get there. So now we have, you know, Phil Heath possibly coming back. We have Shawn definitely defending. We have Brandon Curry, who's winning pro shows that his hat isn't thrown in the ring. We heard the rumblings this week about a 297-pound shredded already Kai Green possibly coming back. And you got rumblings in the background like Kai will be there, Kai will be there. Now, for me, I don't know if I believe that. I'll be honest with you, 100%. I don't know if I believe that, specifically because if Kai was coming back, right? I feel like 15 weeks out, 16 weeks out, they should have started the hype train already. Kai's coming back, the Predator versus the Flexatron, Predator versus, if Phil's coming back, the Predator versus the Gift, the three-way fucking match, the no-holds-barred three-way fucking round-robin match or something. Like, they used to do that stuff with Jay and Ronnie and, in other guys that were involved. Like Gunter was another one when he actually beat Ronnie at a pro show when Ronnie was the reigning Mr. Olympia. It was supposed to be like those three battling out, and for like months they hyped that shit, for like a year pretty much. So I feel like if Kai had made the decision to compete, and he was definitely doing it, I feel like the hype train would have taken off already, because now we're seeing like Shawn Ray and all these other guys actually promoting the Olympia, going, hey man, tickets are on sale now, and you get all these other guys promoting it. So like, if Kai was there, I feel like they could stomp his face on it, and all of a sudden tickets would fly off the shelves. So I don't see that being fact yet. Again, just rumor mill going around. But what we do have is, right now, a Mr. Olympia that's up in the air. There's no guaranteed victory. Like, we knew when Phil won his first Olympia that when he came back, if he was improving, he was going to be far ahead enough of those other guys to go ahead and win the title again, right? We saw Jay. Jay, of course, could improve. Year to year, Jay improved, right? He won his first Olympia. Second Olympia, he got injured, came back. We saw Jay improve vastly when he came back. And matter of fact, he's the only Mr. Olympia to ever lose the title and regain it. You know what I mean? So we're seeing these guys increasingly getting better and better. We saw Shawn Rhoden take a whole year off. We don't know if he's going to be better than he was, right? Because he had an offseason that was very low-keyed. We have possibly Phil Heath coming in, but we just don't know, who in the end could be the one, because all of them could be the one right now. Right? All of them technically could be the winner if everybody else is off. We have Shawn Rhoden, who's the reigning Mr. Olympia, who has been beaten by Dexter Jackson in the past, beaten by Phil, beaten by Kai. He's been beaten by all those guys. I don't think Brandon Curry's beaten him yet. But he's been beaten by those guys. So technically that means that Shawn Rhoden can be beat by any of those guys if he's off and they're on, right? You have Dexter Jackson, who's been beaten many times. He's won many times, so he can be beaten. You have Rami out, which really wasn't a factor last year anyways. You have Phil Heath possibly coming back. You got Brandon Curry. You got Ruli Winkler, who's improving more and more. So I'm sitting back going, man, you really have, for the first time, nobody that's really super dominant coming into this year that didn't have injuries or have some kind of issues going on. So now, to me, this is the most exciting Olympia. We don't know what the fuck's going on. Last year, most of us just assumed that Phil Heath was going to win again, because Phil came in as Phil, and when he didn't, we were all like, what the fuck? Like, it brought some confusion to the Olympia, to be like, how the fuck? And then you have to really look over things and figure out why Phil lost. Well, now, everybody's writing Shawn off after that guest posing. So right now, it's like people think it's like a wide open win for anybody besides Shawn. But then again, Shawn could come in better than he was last year and beat everybody again. We don't know. So I really think we're living in exciting times right now as far as bodybuilding goes. Like, I haven't been this pumped for the Olympia in years, to be honest with you. I think the last time I was this pumped was, and people are going to dog me, it was when Kevin came back, because Kevin is one of my closest friends, and I was just so excited to see him on the Olympia stage that I usually don't go to the Olympia finals, to be honest with you. The first time I went was to see Jay Cutler's last Olympia. I knew it was his last Olympia. I was excited. I was like, I've never been to the Olympia before, and I went to the Olympia just to see Jay on stage for the last time. I was like, this is historical for me, Jay being my friend for years. And then I was just hyped to be going to the Mr. Olympia every year. Then I stopped going to the finals because I can just watch it online. I'm tired from the day's events, the expos and shit. And then Kevin came back, and I was like, oh, we're going to go to the finals tonight. I can't wait. And I saw Kevin on stage, and it was fucking awesome. I don't care what kind of shape he came in. It was awesome to see him posing on the Olympia stage and get a standing ovation, and just to feel that little bit of being like when I was a teenager again, because I never got to see, Kevin on stage. But now, we don't know who the fuck is going to do what. We know people are winning pro shows right now. We got John De La Rosa who just won 2 pro shows back to back, right? So now you got these different guys that are popping.